the Director General of ARTA, the Anti-Red Tape Authority. We look forward with the announcements and initiatives that probably Attorney Belgica will be announcing, most especially since this is directed specific to our industry. With the creation of ARTA and with Attorney Jeremiah Belgica, we are hoping that this will really be a game changer in the way that we are able to roll out our projects. As we all know, we are a catalyst for recovery in our economy, and we're hoping hand in hand with ARTA, we will even speed it up all the more. Maraming pong salamat and a very pleasant good morning, and welcome to our Attorney Jeremiah Belgica. Attorney, good morning.
Thank you, President Totti. Now, the COVID pandemic has indeed changed our lives. It has changed how we do things in both our personal and business levels. It causes a lot of anxieties and fears on the uncertainties of the future. However, on the positive side, the pandemic has allowed us to reflect on our ways and priorities. Government responded to the crisis by reviewing its programs and systems and develop package of incentives aimed at providing relief against the impact of the pandemic on our lives, our health, our business, and the Philippine economy. The CREBA Industry Update aims to provide its members with a forum to access this information and to dialogue with government and industry leaders towards a better understanding and appreciation of the purpose and intent of the regulation. Normal. This morning, we will be tackling ARTA's initiatives to promote ease of doing business for housing and the real estate industry. We're happy that we have no less than the Director General of the Anti-Red Tape Authority or ARTA, Attorney Jeremiah Belgica, as our speaker for today. Attorney Belgica, sandali lang. Teka muna. Ay, how is this? Oh my gosh. Excuse me. Okay. Attorney Jeremiah Belgica is the first ever Director General of the Anti-Red Tape Authority since its operation last June 17, 2018. He is the youngest official holding a government position with the rank of cabinet. A lawyer by profession, he is a founding partner of his Belgica Aranas, Balduesa de la Cruz and Associates Law Offices. He is also a licensed environmental planner and a real estate broker, so he's close to our heart. He is the Secretary General of the Federalismo ng Dugong Dakilang Samahan. He is the first ever awardee of the coveted Most Outstanding Alumni of the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila College of Law. He received his legal training and as an associate in several law offices, the most notable of which, oh my God, I got lost. He is a former constitutional and political law professor of the Universidad de Manila and a professor of the College of Law of San Beda College. He's also worked with the National Parks and Development Committee and has been active in national youth organizations. So he has a wide experience on really advocating for youth and the betterment of society. He is also an ordained minister of the gospel by the Lord's Vineyard Covenant Community and started the Manila congregation as a 20-year-old pastor. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Honorable Jeremiah Belgica.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Ma'am Tetsi. It's nice to see you again. I hope everybody's safe. First, also, I want to congratulate CREBA for holding this webinar, and greetings also to our indefatigable and very able leadership through our President Toti Carino. Even before I came to become part of ARTA and become the Director General, I was able to attend the CREBA National Convention the year prior, or I think the same year, the 2019. If I'm not mistaken, it was um, in La Union. Kung hindi po kakamali, ma'am, no? It was in La Union, and I just I just became a member of CREBA at that time. So I'm very delighted to be amongst peers in the profession, but also now to be with you as I would share to you some of the updates on what the art has been doing. May I request that if my slide could be shared? May I request that I be allowed to share our slide? Yeah. May I request? Okay, I'll just share my slide. Okay. Can you see my slide, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Let me just close this. Ako na po mag-control. All right. Okay. So, the role of ARTA in the new normal for real estate. We all know that because of this pandemic, there is no handbook on how our government or any of us should react or act within this new situation, the new or the better normal. But another pressing question, especially for this group, is what is the role of the Anti-Red Tape Authority in this new situation, specifically for your industry? So just a quick review, because many of you have already heard and seen what ARTA is. But as a review, ARTA was created by virtue of Republic Act 11032 in order to ensure the compliance with the national policy on anti-red tape and ease of doing business in the country. Ang creation po ng Republic Act 11032 is a combination of the amendments on the old Anti-Red Tape Act of 2007 and also to on the bills that were pending in the Congress, before Congress, for the ease of doing business and increasing the competitiveness of our country in the ranking, in the world ranking on ease of doing business. So pinagsama po ang dalawang super bill na ito, and the ease of doing business law came about. Sorry. So just to share very quickly our video.
Pangarap ng batas na ito na maalis na ang red tape at korupsyon upang tuluyan ng mapabilis ang mga proseso ng gobyerno. Upang makamit ito, may dalawang landas na sabay na tatahaki ng ARTA. Nandito ang empowerment at enforcement. Una ay ang empowerment, kung saan bibigyan ng tulong at kapasidad ang mga ahensya ng gobyerno para mas streamline, ma-re-engineer at maiangat nila ang kalidad ng kanilang serbisyo. Tulad ng regulatory impact assessment, kung saan ang mga proposed na proseso ay sinisiguradong may progressive na effect. At ang regulatory management system para patuloy na maging effective, productive at efficient ang proseso ng mga ahensya sa pamamagitan ng pagsigurado na ang lahat ng ating mga regulasyon, batas at polisiya ay dumaan sa masusing pag-aaral. Pangalawa ay ang enforcement, kung saan ang mga ahensya na lalabag sa batas ng ARTA ay papatawan ng naaayon na kaparusahan. Guided by these two pillars, our gift of productivity and efficiency to the people will be just a step away. Approve ka, ARTA!
Okay. So as we have seen in the video, ARTA has two general functions, the empowerment function and the enforcement function. To sum it up, the empowerment function basically pertains to the streamlining and reengineering and improving of regulatory management systems. Ang problema po ng red tape ay nariresolba po kapag pinapabilis at pinapaiksi ho natin ang proseso. Tinatanggal ho ang mga um, requirements at mga proseso na hindi naman ho kinakailangan or rini-restructure ho natin ang pamamaraan na kung ano hong nakasanayan at upang magkaroon ho ng mas mabilis at mas simple na proseso, and then eventually we can automate it. No, hindi ho pwede natin i-automate ang isang system without actually first streamlining it. So ARTA actually is streamlining it, helping agencies to streamline their processes. No, on the empowerment function, ARTA also serves to recommend policy changes and other streamlining efforts to the government agencies. On the other hand, on the enforcement powers of ARTA, ito naman po yung kapag may nangyari ng red tape. For example, hindi ho inilabas ang inyong permit or yung inyong pong document despite it being pending beyond the processing times. Now ARTA can file cases, investigate and file cases for red tape violations, no, but ang tunay po natin na the real work actually that would end the red tape is on the streamlining and empowerment function, no? Hindi ho kasi nariresolba lang kapag tayo po ay simply by filing cases, but we also have to provide and revise the entire system, no? So it goes hand in hand. So pareho po yung ginagawa ng ARTA. So now the battle against red tape is actually waged at two levels, no? First is at an agency level battle and also in an interagency level. No, agency level, single agency, interagency level, several agencies that we need to go through. Just like in the real estate sector, you go through several government agencies to get your business and to get your projects going. So yan po yung interagency battle against red tape. So these are the two levels. Now, what are we doing? Of course, on the enforcement side, the prescribed processing times is being strictly enforced, meaning ang mga citizens charters po ng government agencies ay kinakailangan hindi na lalagpas ang kanilang mga serbisyo sa 3 days, 7 days, and 20 days. One important thing that we really call the attention of LRA and also the Register of Deeds is dapat ho ang kanilang mga citizens charter ay pumasok po sa 3720. Now, kapag na-violate po ang 3720, then you could call the attention of the agency or even raise it to ARTA, and pwede ho mag-result ito sa investigation and even filing of cases. Now, of course, the Citizens Charter, ito po yung sinasabi natin that this functions, a Citizens Charter functions as a menu of the government agencies, wherein in this menu, kailangan nakasulat doon ano po ang kanilang mga serbisyo, mga requirements, ano ho mga procedures, sino ang mga taong responsible, ano yung maximum time per services, fees that needs to be paid, and even the feedback or the grievance mechanism. Kapag hindi ho sinunod ang nakasulat sa Citizens Charter, that again is a violation of the anti-red tape of the ease of doing business law. No, yan po ay meron na ho tayong mga nakasuhan po diyan. Also ARTA, after a conduct of a summary proceeding, nakita ho namin kompleto ang mga dokumento, especially sa mga registration for licenses. Kung pagkumpleto na po yan, ang requirements at nabayaran nyo na po ng kompleto, and lumagpas na po sa processing times, the law is very clear, your application is automatically approved by operation of law. So ARTA have issued these declarations of completeness of documents and automatic approval. Over 6,000 permits have already been declared as automatically approved since we started last year. Of course, the surprise inspections, one particularly also in the different register of deeds. Ongoing po yan. In fact, yesterday, meron din ho tayong nagkaroon din po ng surprise inspection in one of the RDs. And ongoing po yan, not only in the register of deeds, but in the different government agencies also. Na lalo na yung mga line agencies po natin who provides the basic services, immediate services. ARTA also conducted, particularly for the real estate industry, we've been conducting regular hearings and meetings po with the different register of deeds. No, this actually resulted to the reformation po ng Kalang Citizens Charter because some of them would insist na hindi sila covered ng ARTA law, and some of them would even say na hindi daw talaga pwede. Pero sa bandang huli po ay they did reform their Citizens Charter para pumasok po dun sa 3, 7, and 20. Kinakailangan na lamang po natin bantayan kasi kung ito po ay sinusunod at kung hindi po sinusunod yung 3, 7, 20 ay maaari nyo na pong idulog po sa ARTA. So this is one example of the surprise. Okay, so we've been conducting a series of visits also, and what you saw in the video is our visit with the RD of Manila, also who also sits as the ARTA chair for the Register of Deeds, no, yung sector po nila, and ayan po, no. So another video to summarize po yung what are the different penalties within the RA 11032.
Sa panahon ngayon, hindi na pwedeng nakakalusot ang hindi sumusunod sa batas. Ang mga kalokohang ito, walang takas. Si boss, mahigpit yan. Kaya tignan mo, unang pagkakamali pa lang, mabigat na ang parusa. O strike to ka pa. Aba, wala kang kadala-dala. Kaya lahat ng ito, ipapataw sa'yo. Di ko sure sa'yo ha. Ang akin lang, mag-isip-isip ka na. Si boss, panalo yan.
Okay, so as mentioned in the video, the penalty for the first offense, for any of violation of the law, for the violation of for the processing times and requiring additional submission na wala ho sa Citizens Charter, at yung pagre-require ho ng additional na kabayaran na wala ho sa Citizens Charter. First offense is 6 months suspension. For the second offense, administrative liability and criminal liability of dismissal from service, perpetual disqualification from holding public office, and forfeiture of retirement benefits and imprisonment of 1 year to 6 years with a fine of not less than 500,000 but not more than 2 million pesos. So dalawang beses lamang po na ulitin kung kayo po ay hiningan ng mga requisitos na wala naman sa Citizens Charter, sa unang pagkakataon ay maaari hong ikasuspindi po yan. Pagka sa pangalawang pagkakataon na inulit, ay maaari na pong matanggal at makulong. Pero kung sila po ay meron collusion with fixers at meron po sila mga tao sa labas na inuutusan na sa kanila makipag-usap, ay hindi na mag-first offense yan. It would be automatically a dismissal from service with imprisonment. Yan na po. No? So it's only one strike. So here are the different offenses penalized under the law: refusal to accept application with complete documents or requirements without due cause, imposition of additional requirements other than those listed in the Citizens Charter, imposition of additional costs not reflected in the Citizens Charter, failure to give the written notice on the disapproval of an application, failure to render government services within the prescribed processing time, failure to attend to applicants prior to the end of working hours and during lunch break. Nako, letter F, yan po ang nakita ho namin dun sa pinuntahan namin yesterday na isa pong RD. Nag-lunch break, no, noontime break, at nagpapalusot po na ito daw ay nagdi-disinfect, no? Pero that is again a strict policy already. Failure or refusal to issue official receipts, and also fixing and collusion. The second offense shall involve commission of the same violation punishable under Section 21 of the Act. So ARTA we have already filed several cases, and we would be filing additional cases for the enforcement side. Now, nabanggit ko po yung enforcement, but the real solution po para against red tape actually is the streamlining of the services. Kaya ito po ang, I would say 80% of the effort of ARTA is really poured into making things faster and better. Kasi even when you file a case and that the person would try to slug it out in court, baka nakaipit pa rin ang inyong pong mga permit. So, but instead of catching red tape after it is done, we need to prevent, no, the commission of which by re-engineering the processes. So our task is also to help improve the regulatory management and facilitate efficiency improvement of services in the government. Last February 21, the Office of the President issued the Administrative Order number 23 to eliminate overregulation and promote efficient government services. So ito po ay ini-implement na rin po natin. So government agencies across the different regions, LGUs, NGAs are submitting to ARTA their streamlined processes. Okay, so on the World Bank initiatives po natin, yung tinatawag po natin na ease of doing business streamlining initiatives, some of the reforms that the LRA is doing is on the public access on official statistics from LRA. So kasama po ang registering property sa atin hong mas pinapaiksi. Now, on the creation of business one-stop shops, ang ARTA po ay minamandato po ang lahat ng government agency na magkaroon ho ng kanilang electronic business one-stop shop by 2021. Ang kasama po sa electronic business one-stop shop ay yung registering ng kanilang negosyo sa pagkuha po ng business permit o yung mayor's permit, at gayon din po yung kanilang building permits. So, recently ay nakuha po natin ang kompleto at nasa iayos na po ng DICT yung software for the use ng mga LGUs, no? LGUs who doesn't have an automated system for starting a business and also building permits dun po sa kanilang OBO at sa kanila pong BPLS, ay maaari po nilang gamitin ito pong software na available na po at ginawa ho ng DICT. This is a entire automation software for the LGUs to use. So by next year, actually ongoing po yan, no, ay hindi na ho option na hindi ho mag-automate ang mga LGUs sa kanila pong business permitting and licensing systems, and also on the business permit process, no. We fight corruption by removing human intervention as much as possible. Ibig sabihin, hindi naman ho natin totally ma-eradicate ang human intervention, pero kung dating 100 na taong nagpapatakbo sa isang proseso ay ngayon kaya na pong patakbuhin ng 3 o 4. Kaya kung magkaroon ng problema, magkaroon ng issue ng corruption, madali natin matrack kung saan nanggagaling. Also, ARTA did launch the National Business One-Stop Shop this February 28, 2020. This time, ang mga national government agencies po ang atin pong pinagsasama-sama, SSS, PIR, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig. Upang kapag nag-register kayo ng inyong negosyo, ay you could do it online. This NBOS is a physical place na pwede mapuntahan sa PICC sa 3rd floor ng SEC. Subalit dahil sa pandemic ay ito po ay nakasara po ang PICC. Subalit yung online central business portal po would already be ready and available this coming November. Na pwede na po tayo mag-register 100%, hindi lang sa isang ahensya sa SEC, but across these 5 agencies in one sitting. So yung dati pong 33 days ay kakayanin na pong marehistro ang iyong korporasyon sa loob ng isang araw. Also, ito po yung last year na ibinigay po sa amin ng HUD-CC. Napakita na rin po natin ito sa iba nating mga officials ng CREBA. This figure was given by HUD-CC for socialized housing, 27 offices, 78 permits, 46 signatures, and 373 documents. And we are happy to say that we even also showed this with our secretary, Secretary Del Rosario, at ito po ang tinatalakay po natin sa atin pong program ni Himaya. Okay, so the program ni Himaya addresses this interagency problem, hindi lamang po sa housing sector, pati po sa iba pong mga sektor na atin pong tinutulungan magreforma. Nabanggit ko po kanina na ang laban po sa red tape ay 2 pong level. Agency level at interagency level. So yung kanina pinakita natin na citizens charter, yung atin pong spot checking, affects an agency level streamlining and agency level reform. But when we talk about across government agencies, as I've showed through the slides, the 27 offices, then you have to have a national effort to harmonize the efficiency measures of these interrelated agencies. So the program ni Himaya aims to reduce 52% within 52 weeks. Okay, so it was launched by ARTA together with our partners. Yan po ang amin pong isa sa aming mga strong partners talaga, si Secretary Del Rosario. He is a very strong, effective, and efficient leader natin sa housing. Of course, our Cabinet Secretary, CABSEC Carlo Nograles, who sits as the co-chair po ng program ni Himaya. Now, on the COVID pandemic, also, bago ko pala malimutan, kasama ko pala dito sa meeting si Deputy Director General Eduardo Doy Bringas, who is heading the housing sector po namin sa program ni Himaya. So he would also be here because CREBA will be invited po this coming weeks doon po sa ating mga meetings on the program ni Himaya. So during COVID pandemic, ARTA also did issue a guidelines on the reissuances of licenses and permits in the new normal. Kasi because of the pandemic, there is now a mismatch of processes against the current situation that our current situation calls for the observation of the different protocols, health protocols na nakaset. So, ang ARTA po ay naglabas ng guidelines, and it was also endorsed by IATF on how government agencies should reissue and what are the guidelines for the reissuances of their different businesses and licenses. No, this was also intended to ensure the timely and efficient delivery of government services, recommend policies, processes, and systems, and provide technical assistance and advisory opinion. So the permitting guidelines tackle simplification, streamlining, and also automation. I'll just skip this one. Okay, now with the President's strong push for e-governance, ARTA and DICT are partners on this kasi hindi ho tayo pwedeng mag-digitalize until we have streamlined our services. Sinabi ko na po kanina yan. Normally, we have the misconception, if you automate it, then it's basically streamlined. Baliktad po, because if you automate a process that is not streamlined first, then you run the risk of including the unnecessary requirements in the automated system. So pati po yung sistema ay kinakailangan pong malinis muna, maayos at para tayo po yung makapag automation. Pero ito po yung nangyayaring magkasabay na po even as we speak, ano po. So also with the help of the chairman of the ARTA Advisory Council, Secretary Mon Lopez of the Department of Trade and Industries, full speed ahead po tayo sa ating digital transformation initiatives po. Lalo na pa for this coming year, makikita po natin a wholesale digitalization of many of our government offices and services. So this is basically the guidelines. The guidelines that we did issue was also endorsed by the IATF through the resolution number 68. No, kasama na po yung ating mga recommendation na tanggalin ang notarization kung hindi naman kinakailangan, use the digital platforms, digital payments, and also use digital communications. Okay. Ito na po yun. So I will just skip this one to for due to time constraints. So I did mention a lot of it. I also did mention the use of digital payments and for licenses and permits. Ay kasama na po yan sa ating kailangan. Okay. Also, ARTA did recommend through these guidelines the adoption of automatic approval and extension na mga lisensya po na mapapaso or mag-expire during the pandemic na hindi ho mahirap ho natin request for renewal because of the COVID situation. So we did also indicated that the extension for the validity of license and clearances of permits should already be automatic. And kung may payment ho na kailangan bayaran, then we could use online payments as a first recourse. Hindi lang po ang online payment, hindi lang po dapat ito being showed as an available facility, pero the first and priority mode of payment should be online, no? Kasi I think that's the only way to really sabihin natin, allow the people to really get used on using online payment is to make it mandatory. Also, on the whole of government approach, the guidelines also stated that interconnectivity and also data sharing is very important. Kinakailangan kung kaya mo nang makuha ang requirements na hihingin mo sa tao, ay hindi na dapat kunin ng isang government agency sa tao if they could actually source it from another government agency already. Okay. On some of the reforms that is being done with the Land Registration Authority that ARSA is also watching is of course, the standard transactional forms. We have communicated with them that the use of a transactional form that is already standard, that everybody is familiar para hindi po makatulong po sa kanilang poproseso. Meron ho silang standard form dyan. Yan po ba ay deed of sale? Yan po ay mortgage? Because of course, katulad ho naming mga abogado, sometimes we have our different styles that we use. But if there could be a transactional form also, or a sheet of transactional form that could already be filled out, so malinaw na agad sa kanila, no? Hindi nila bubusisiin pa isa-isa po. Makita na po nila through that initial form. Of course, enforcement of the 3720 rule, and also the zero contact policy and no to fixer. On digitalization, we are strongly pushing for the e-titling conversion na matapos na po nila. Napakahalaga po yan, and I believe it would solve a lot of problems, and even the online systems, yung tinatawag din po nila na title owner verification system, and the personal property security registry system, which would also feature para mas mabilis po ang pag-secure ng mortgages and loans po, no? Pati po yung kanilang mga personal properties ay maaari pong ma-register po dyan sa PPSRS system po nila. Now, to end, the train of reform against red tape is actually now on the move. All of our hopes are in this for a better Philippines. For the first year of our implementation of this law, we are actually gaining grounds. In fact, sinabi ho sa Ease of Doing Business ranking ng Philippines, the Philippines jumped from 125th rank to 95th rank in just the first year po ng implementation po ng batas at ng existence po ng ARTA. Naniniwala po kami that as we have a stronger push against red tape, makikita po natin that the Philippines would really flourish. And as we begin our journey towards the e-governance and streamlined services, makikita po natin in the next few years that the hopes and aspirations of as given by our president and by each and every one of us will be manifested. Gusto ko kong sabihin sa bawat isa sa atin that ARTA ho ay para po sa inyo. Ito po ay kinonceptualize para po sa taong bayan. Tulungan niyo po kami dito. Kung wala hong magsusumbong, wala rin hong magbabago. If we need to also keep yourselves and identities anonymous, then we would be more than happy to do so. But at the same time, matandaan po natin that the best days are ahead of us in this battle against red tape. So with this, we want to thank you, and God bless you. Thank you very much.
Nakamute ka, Tetchi. You're still on mute. Thank you very much, Attorney Belgica. Tetchi, you're still on mute. There you go.
Okay. Thank you very much, DG Belgica, for that very interesting presentation. Seems that there's so much to look forward to on the improvements of our government systems. Before we start with the open forum, I'd like to segue for a bit and acknowledge the presence of some of our special guests. First, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Vice Chairman of the Board of CREBA, Mr. Jerry Navarrete. And then we also have with us past President Dr. Jimmy Cura, Congressman Rod Valencia, Chapter President for Tarlac, Perla Espina, for La Union, Ray Nice, and for Davao, Domelet Odtohan. And then we also have the Deputy Director General of ARTA, Mr. Ed Bringas, who's also with us today, and the National President of the REBAP, Benedici Castro, and our President for Pampanga Chapter, Carla Espinosa. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us this morning. So, I'd like to start with the Q&A and the question and answer. May we ask our National President, Tote Carino, to lead in the discussion of the questions.
Well, first of all, we'd like to thank Director General Bellica. That was really a very good presentation. And again, we instilled once more hopes that we can together with your authority, we will be able to address the pressing issues that concerns most of us. It's also good to know that you are part of our industry and that you know exactly in detail what are the log jumps that we are currently experiencing on all of this. Um, okay. So the Department of Housing has, in our talks with Secretary Del Rosario, that it is really true that he is concerned and is very much aware of the ARTA initiatives. And that's why this is very much welcome. In fact, pag nagbibiro nga siya, that he's been serious with making sure that these policies inside the Department of Housing they are really very cognizant on the 3, 7, and 20 rule. However, we still would like to see that if ARTA can really focus on, as you said, the streamlining function, so we don't need to go to the empowering functions of ARTA. Marami pa rin things that we could actually address ourselves too. And one of which would be what you mentioned, yung interagency requirements, no? First and foremost, we have with regards to the issuance of the LTS and the development permits with LGU, the two major concerns are getting the verified survey reports, which takes right now 90 days to get uploaded on their system. And the other one is the BIR getting a certificate of exemptions on socialized housing. It takes also about 90 days. So if we can really ask them to focus on really maybe redefining the citizens charter that they have and getting attuned to the ARTA initiatives, it would immediately impact on the processing time of development permits and licenses to sell. So thank you. That's my initial reaction, Attorney. And thank you very much for the very enlightening presentation. We are emboldened with your presentation once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir President Totti. If I may, Ma'am Tetsi, if I could respond to that excellent matter raised also by our President. Yes, I do believe that is actually one of the things that really needs to be pointed out, especially that we have around 1,600 LCUs all over the country. And also with the BIR, we have set different chapters also, but all of them actually are required to abide by the 3720. I think one of the pain points that you did mention about the Sanggunian, perhaps President Totti, that could actually sometimes take a while before a Sanggunian could act on an application. The Sanggunian has a specific provision in the ease of doing business law, which states that any application for licenses or permits within lodged with the Sanggunian should be acted upon within 45 days. 45 days, sir. So we would be more than willing to actually help if there would be any sanggunian issues or matters. The good thing also is that we already have an experience now with the LGUs and their compliances with what we are doing with the telcos, with the telecommunications. I'm sure every one of us have heard of the strong push again of the president to hasten the interconnectivity of the internet by December. And I'm happy to also report that since ARTA started to push for the LGUs actually to issue the permits that have been pending, since we started about less than a month ago, there have been 933 new permits that have been issued for the telcos, and this report actually came to the telcos. Now the point being is included po dito yung mga sanggunian, included po dito yung mga LGUs. So I believe, Sir Toti, na gawin rin ho siguro natin through the help of CREBA and the ARTA. Let's do something similar. We could even have a special task group on that, focused on the pending projects, also with the LGUs. And the ARTA could send notice of compliances, compliance orders, not notice of compliances, compliance orders, na kapag ito ay lumabis na doon sa takdang oras at kumpleto na ho yung inyong mga permits, then they have to automatically approve it. So I think a concentrated effort on this, Sir Toti, on the industry would really help us also na masentruhan, para alam ho nila kung ano po yung ating tinutulak po together with the industry.
Thank you, DG. President Toti, any other remarks?
We'll leave the floor to the others to react, probably.
Okay.
Give the chance to the others.
Yes. So the first question is, in 2017, we were able to obtain a certified true copy of a title from an LRA kiosk. But when we requested again this year for the same property, we were informed that it is not in the system. So we were wondering, we already got one, now they're saying it's not in the system. How can this happen?
I don't know. Are you referring to the kiosk in Quezon City? That should not happen unless they rebooted everything. So I suppose if it is a kiosk, it should be faster and easier. So please do refer it to us and we would immediately act on it. Our Deputy Director General Doy Bringas is here. Please, niyo po, bigay niyo po sa amin yon.
Yes, thank you. So we would like to request the one who sent in the question to please give more details to the CREBA Secretariat so that we can coordinate with ARTA on the resolution of your concern. Thank you. The second question is coming from a student of our EdPrem in LaSalle. No? How do we report violations to the different implementing agencies? DG, you know very well that as businessmen, we'd rather not go straight and be identified because we're concerned that our complaint might prejudice our business. So we'd like to report nevertheless and support your initiatives, pero we also have to protect ourselves. So how do we do this?
Okay, of course we would rather na makuha ho, kasi for example the particular report or a particular permit na naipit, malaki hong bagay na if we would call an agency out based on that particular permit, sabihin namin ilabas nyo na ito dahil masyado na matagal, it would actually help the applicant. Pero also the applicant might also be afraid na baka balikan. Actually pag inulit ho nila binalikan kayo, that is already strike 2. That is already a ground for them to be dismissed. But even though ang experience po namin, kahit na ganon, the normally businessmen would not want themselves to be exposed. So what happens is, if you give us even a complaint and you ask na kayo po ay maging anonymous, then we would still call the attention of the agency and ask them about all of the pending applications on that particular transaction ninyo. Not particular transaction, but in that same type. No, ilan ho ba ang pending ninyo diyan? Meron ho kami nakuhang report, and please do report to us, and we would be using our motu proprio powers to investigate. So that is actually what we could also do, using our motu proprio initiative na pwede ho kaming mag-imbestiga po sa kanila. Meron na pong mga ganon na ginawa ho kami, no? Hindi ho dinisclose yung identity, pero it takes a while na makarating po dun sa inyong particular permit because we would need to ferret out lahat po ng mga pending nila doon. Pero either way, we would still act on it. So wag ko kayo mag-alala.
Techi, Techi,
Yes.
may I just have a little rejoinder on that because I think this is important. We would like to help ARTA on this one, no? Kasi alam mo, mahirap kung panay theoretical yung ating complaints or what, and then so we have been doing this in the past. In fact, our chairman Charlie Gureb has been encouraging our members kung may mga ganyan situation, write CREBA. CREBA will not sit on your paper, and it has done so, no? All the etong pinaka recent sa CAAP, no? May mga specific complaints or queries on why this is taking a lot of problems, and CREBA has been at the forefront. So you can write CREBA, cite your specific case. We will write a specific agency and get a hold of ARTA. Maybe together we can write that that report, and it will give us it will give
Great.
you more teeth, no?
That's better, Sir Toti, because if it's an industry complaint, sama-samahin natin para hindi ho kayo nasisentruhan mag-isa. But Mr. President, may I also suggest, since na-raise nyo po yan, na they could come, maybe ARTA and CREBA could come up with a memorandum of understanding.
That would be great. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, we could actually endorse that the CREBA will be the ARTA champion in the real estate industry. Na you would also be authorized also to conduct to give us a stern recommendation on certain complaints. Na alam ho namin pag galing po sa inyo, of course, we would also be training maybe your office or some of your people what particular points and issues that really needs to be focused on. Kasi yung iba ho kasi pupunta sa amin tapos hindi naman ho siya red tape matter, hindi naman po ARTA matter. Pero dahil kayo po ang magiging ARTA champion on the industry, once it reaches ARTA or you endorse it, then it is there's a prima facie already understanding that this is already a case talaga of violation. And also I think because it would also embolden, of course, the industry na to really demand from government agencies what is already given by the new ARTA law.
Yeah, thank you, Miss.
Very good.
Yes. The other thing, well, this is also my personal concern. This is regarding the strict implementation of the spirit and the words of the one-stop shop. We're glad to hear that you have been working on a lot of concepts on one-stop shop. There is one also under the DSUD law that says that the processing of requirements and documents for development should observe the one-stop shop process. And we'd like to see together, I suppose, with DSUD, for the strict and immediate implementation of the provisions of this law. Because in light also of the Balik Provincia program, there is now an urgent need for us to prepare the real estate and housing industry to respond and support government in this Balik Provincia initiative. And taking it from the standpoint of landowners and developers, our problem really is the permit. No? We go through a lot of processes and a lot of, in order to be able to take out the permits for us to proceed. And this is really a big turn off on the part of developers and landowners. That's why there are a lot of members, especially of our chapters, who are really wanting to support the housing program. Pero, turn off talaga yung process. And I think this will be resolved and addressed finally by the one-stop shop of the DSUD. So we'd like to work on that together with you also.
Thank you, Ma'am Tetsi. May I react quickly? Yeah, the DigiDoy bring us will definitely be on top of that po kasi as I mentioned, the entire effort for the Nihimayo on the private sector will schedule to start this October. We anticipate in a month or two, by November or end of November, meron na ho tayong bagong joint memorandum circular po dyan across the different government agencies that would also be the the basis for the one-stop shop. When we talk about one-stop shops, marami ho kasing kanya-kanya interpretation when they say one-stop shop. Because minsan nakala nila one-stop shop po yun, pero actually they just co-located all of their offices and their tables. Pero they did not interlink their services to be seamless. So ibig sabihin, pag pumunta ka dun sa kanilang co-located office, pinaiksi mo lang yung lakad. Ibig sabihin, yung proseso ganun pa din ang kinakailangan daanan. Pero when we also talk about one-stop shop, co-location of offices is just one of the feature, pero another feature is secondly the single window approach, wherein which all of the requirements for the different offices or agencies would already be received one time in that single window. And the second step should already be assessment and payment. So lahat ho ng babayaran niyo po doon ay titingnan na po doon at isahang bayad na rin po doon sa second step. Pero in that window, kung may makita po na deficiency sa inyong po dokumento, ay doon rin ho ninyo malalaman o ito yung deficiency mo, hindi lang dito sa isang opisina na to, pero dito sa iba't ibang opisina. So isahan na rin po yon. Pero kung kumpleto na po, the order of payment should already be issued in the second step that already contains the breakdown of all of the payments that you have to do. And the last step in a one-stop shop concept is what you call the releasing of permits. You do not only release one permit in that releasing phase, you release all. So ito po yung lagi ho namin sinasabi. Of course, I almost forgot yung tinatawag ho na backroom. Yung backroom employment of a backroom system na hindi ho dapat nakikita na nakakalat sa taong bayan yung kanila pong mga lamesa kasi doon ho nagkakaroon ng pagkakataon na maglapitan, puntahan ng puntahan. Pero hindi rin ho ito dapat gawing excuse ng mga agency na sinasabi nila, oh, this is zero contact policy, kaya bawal kayo mag-follow up. So we also did call the attention of the government agencies. Marami pong mga register of deeds. Ganyan ang sinasabi nila. Bawal mag-follow up, huwag nyo kaming kausapin. Pero sabi namin, bakit hindi niyo papayagan mag-follow up? Tagal-tagal niyong kumilos. So, ang bawal na follow up, ibig sabihin, para ho sa taong gobyerno yun, ibig sabihin, huwag mo nang antayin na magpa-follow up pa sa'yo. Kasi otherwise, no, it means that it's actually really taking it too long. So, I just wanted to say, no, once na-establish ho natin those principles of a one-stop shop, then we're actually ready to automate. Yun po ang sinasabi namin, ano. Once it is actually streamlined, then we could proceed to automation. That is the same principle na in-apply po namin sa National Business One-Stop Shops that involve 5 different government agencies. No? The three-step rule, the single window approach, and I believe that ito rin ho ang gagawin nila Deputy Director General Yusek Doy Bringas as we try to advocate it with our good Secretary Del Rosario. Thank you, Ma'am Tetchi.
Yeah, thank you, DG. The next question is about BIR. We have a claim stub for an e-car dated July 2019, so that was last year. And as of today, they haven't released it in Kawit, Cavite, saying that it is due to lack of documentation. So what shall we do? I mean, like, they have already submitted and they already have a claim stub. Obviously, kompleto na sila. Yet wala pa rin after 1 year. Kawit?
Yeah, bigay niyo na po sa amin yan kasi may e-car na. Hindi ko alam kung ano pa yung hindi ninyo na-submit. Hindi ko alam kung ano ibig sabihin ng kung anong hinihintay nila na i-submit ninyo. No, so hindi ko pwede 'yon. So if they're going to deny it, they should have denied it in writing. Pero they did not deny it. In fact, they're asking you for, I don't know, additional requirements. What are those requirements? If those requirements are not part of the Citizens Charter, then that is also another violation. But I suppose in our practice, of course, tayo pong nakaintindi po tayo sa proseso, may e-car ka na, bakit may inisyu ng e-car kung kulang? So, you have a claim stub rather. So I would advise, alamin niyo po kung ano po yung sinasabi nilang kulang. And then, tingnan niyo po kung nasa Citizens Charter po nila yan. Kung wala po sa Citizens Charter yung hinihingi, bawal po yun, ginagawa nila. So, please, also you could, again, course it to ARTA.
Yes. Another concern of the industry is the passage of the Land Use Act. We know that's still pending, it is not yet implemented, but there is an existing law that can already be there to enable us. Kasi one of the more important pillars of development is actually land access and land availability. And the way to ease up this particular process is through a definition of land use. And in the absence of the passage of the National Land Use Act, we still have the CLUP, Comprehensive Land Use Plan. And I understand that it is supposed to be for renewal every 5 years, but most LGUs haven't really complied. And this makes it so difficult for us really to identify land that can readily be used for development. So we would like also to bring this to the attention of ARTA to please look into the CLUP programs of the various local governments so that this will ease up a lot of things for us also. And yes,
Noted. Yes,
noted. Salamat po. And then the next one is about annotation of title. We requested for the lifting of the annotation of titles, and but hearings have been postponed, I suppose because of COVID. We are just afraid that they might decide on the annotation or whatever land issues they might have because of the postponement. So is there any ruling on postponements due to COVID and everything so that we will have the assurance that hindi kami mate-technical on the pending cases that we have filed?
Well, to answer directly po doon sa may bale ba yung COVID, I think marami ho kasing paraan. Pwede ho silang mag-online hearing. I mean, if the courts are doing it, why not the administrative agencies? It's also part of the recommendation that ARTA gave as part of the guidelines. So if they have been canceling it for several times, they cannot also fault you na napaso yung panahon ninyo because the postponements are also not due to your own doing. They did postpone it. So kung ganyan po nangyayari, please paabot niyo po sa amin pong atensyon. Again, Deputy Director General Bringas is here. Pwede ho natin ma-call ang attention po nila. And on annotation, what kind of annotation is that? Of course, there would be several other variables that we also need to look at. Pero given those facts that you just mentioned on the postponement of hearings, bakit ho nila pinopostpone at kailangan pa ba nila mag-hearing dyan? Annotation yan.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, DG. Oh, that last question came in from Mr. Jojo Go. The next one is a comment from our past president, Dr. Jimmy Cura. Most governments are using the pandemic as an excuse for not being able to work on some transactions with the justification that they have insufficient people to work on them and for some health consideration. This reason is brazenly given on the phone when the applications are being followed up. So every time we follow up, wala kaming tao, we cannot work on it. And is that acceptable, DG?
No, ma'am, because the civil service already gave strategies on how government services could continue during the pandemic. To honestly speaking, I think there was a question, maybe I was not able to answer. Paano sila pwede magsumbong sa amin? You go online. Everything that ARTA is doing online. Even my signatures are digital signatures secured by the PNPKI technology of the DICT. Meaning, hinanapan ko ho talaga ng paraan na yung pagpipirma po namin ay official, secured, pero at the same time, digital online. So, if there are ways how to make it work, I don't think na public service could wait kasi kinakailangan ho lalong mag-operate po tayo during the pandemic. And if it's been how long? 6 months? I think kung 6 months na ho yung dating first month, second month, maintindihan natin. Pero kung 6 na buwan na po, ay yun pa rin hong ginagawang dahilan. Ay sandali po. Dapat ho yata natututo tayo mag-adjust. Kung kulang kayo ng tao, di sabihin ho nila siguro sa mga principals nila. Pero hindi ho siguro para ang tao ang siyang umintindi. Please do refer this to us because this could be a violation of the zero contact policy also. Ngayon po, ang question ho kasi doon is yung ginagamit na dahilan. So I suppose that there is already a sense by our past president na nagpapalusot na lamang. And it means that may nakikita ho kayo na ginagawan na lang nilang dahilan. Katulad sinasabi, nagdi-disinfect. Pero wala naman ho nagdi-disinfect dun sa loob ng opisina, pero nagkakainan lang sila doon. So that is a mortal sin po yan sa public service. But again, siguro I would want to reiterate siguro yung possible natin partnership siguro with CREBA as CREBA becoming an ARTA champion. Kung maganda po siguro na ganun ho magawa natin para matuluyan na pong pagtutulungan po natin Mr. President Toti and Ma'am Tetchi.
Yes, thank you. This is more of a concern on ARTA. Coming from Lex Lavin. Attorney, this is a very good endeavor, your ARTA endeavors. Does ARTA have the manpower to monitor and investigate nationwide?
I don't make excuses, Sir Lex. You give us the complaint, gagawin po namin. Pero it's not within my vocabulary na sabihin ko na hindi namin kaya. Kailangan namin kayanin po para sa inyo. Ngayon, we're putting strategies also to get, of course, the other agencies involved. The LGUs, what we also do is all government offices are already required to have their committee on anti-red tape. So yun po, automatically within the government agencies, they would be having this committee on anti-red tape, which are also accountable not only in the head of their agencies, but also to ARTA. So pwede rin ho natin silang makuhanan actually ng initial investigation po on a per agency level. But like any other government agency who is starting, no, ARTA right now has around 208 plantilla positions available. We have 112 right now na people with us. Pero salamat ho sa teknolohiya kasi hanggang Mindanao ho kami nakakapag-hearing kasi lahat ho ngayon ay online. So in fact, meron ho kaming hini-hear na case ngayon na sa Mindanao pa rin po. Pero nakaka-attend naman sila online. Kaya nga ho, wag ho natin bigyan na dahilan yung mga tao na hindi ho natin magawa kasi ho, sobra ho ang hirap natin ngayon sa atin hong sitwasyon. Wag na ho sana kami makadagdag mga taong gobyerno.
Yes. Thank you, VG. That's another one coming in. This is regarding the interpretation of the law, specifically on the building code. It's coming from Mency Ann Ancheta. She's asking, some LGUs have different interpretations of the building code. That would necessitate different kinds of compliance and negotiations and deals. So she's asking, in case, the building official has a different interpretation of the building code, what can they do to prevent this, like abuse or misuse of authority?
Okay, number one po, tingnan niyo po kung ano nakalagay sa Citizens Charter because whatever interpretation that they have should actually be consistent with the implementing rules and regulation. No, if it is blatantly contrary, no, then that is blatant, no, po hindi po yung subject to debate. It's blatant na talagang mali ang kanyang cross ignorance po yan. So that is actually ground for the disciplinary action of this building official. Pero if it is really a debatable issue, I suggest that you go back to what is written in their citizens charter. Kung nagre-require po siya ng additional requirements kasi interpretation niya yon, pero iba naman yung nakasulat sa citizens charter niya, then kailangan sundin niya yung citizens charter because the citizens charter acts as a social contract, as a service standard wherein which a government agency holds themselves up in public against. So, yan ho yan. Yung sinasabi ni Presidente na dapat may listahan ka na yan ang dapat susundin mo. So, kung hindi ho nila sinusunod yon, Citizens Charter nila, dahil sa kanilang interpretation, violation po sila kasi nandoon po yun sa Citizens Charter. Pero kung yung Citizens Charter po nila, ang mali mismo kasi iba ho yung kanilang interpretation, so they changed their Citizens Charter, they added some requirements, then you could tell us, ARTA, and we would also call the attention of this building official to explain bakit yun ang iyong ginawang proseso. Pag nakita po namin na mali ang kanyang interpretation, we could direct him to go through a regulatory impact assessment to be submitted to ARTA para makita ang justifications po niyan. No? So yun po ang proseso kasi ho, then that becomes a question of sabihin natin question of law or question of fact that needs to be investigated upon, no? So baka it's a difference of interpretation na pwede ho namin matulungan.
Yeah. Okay. The next question is coming from Don Eliasar. The question is about the approval, the 5-7-20 rule. After the lapse of the 5-7-20 rule, are the transactions deemed approved?
Yes, ma'am. That is very clear in the law. Upon the lapse of the actually ma'am, it's 3 days for simple transaction, it's 7 days for complex transaction, it's 20 days for highly technical transactions. So if it is just ministerial in nature, certified true copy, kailangan po pag-isipan yung certified true copy ba? Umaabot ng 7 araw yan, 10 araw. So it has to be not more than 3 days. In fact, kung kayo po ay meron na tinatawag na e-title o yung blue title ninyo, they just simply print it out. No, so but anyway, the law says they have they should be able to do it simple transactions not more than 3 days. 7 days naman kung complex transactions. At kung highly technical po, meaning ito po ay involving public health and public safety, that is 20 days. Pero kung ito po ay sanggunian, may special provision po. If it is with the sanggunian, then it's 45 days po ang binibigay sa kanila. No? Extendable by another 20 days in writing. But kung lalagpas po yan, no, with the 3-7-20, then that is automatically deemed approved by operation of law. Now, the documents na hawak-hawak po ninyo na pina-receive ninyo sa kanila at yung resibo as proof that you have already fully paid will now function as the permit ninyo. Yan po ang sabi ng batas. Pero some of the people would still go to ARTA kasi nga ho, ang tagal-tagal na, pupunta pa rin sa amin, sasabihin ho namin after a summary hearing of 3 days, makita namin, oh, kompleto na to, approved na to. Then we issue a declaration of completeness of your submitted documents and also order the government agency to release the document already kasi automatically approved na po yan by operation of law. Hindi ho namin sinasabi sa kanila na aprubahan mo yan. Sinasabi ho natin na aprobado na yan ang batas kaya ilabas mo yung papel. At pag hindi po nila inilabas, and they are also requested or instructed to submit to ARTA a compliance report kung nai-issue na ho nila sa inyo. Kung hindi ho nila i-issue yan, then that's the time that ARTA could file a case against them. Yan po ang process po namin. So it's Congress who already approves it. Tama po yan.
Thank you. Just another question. Is ARTA also empowered to work on complaints affecting the courts? and the legislature?
No, by virtue of constitutional, ano po, also constitutional constraints, no, our limitation are with the executive branch of the government, pero there are some applicability po in some constitutional, in the constitutional bodies naman on their administrative services. Yung hindi po directly sa kanilang um, judicial function or kanilang legislative functions. Pero mostly po ang mga functions po ng constitutional bodies at pati po ng other branches of the government ay labas ho sa saklaw po ng ARTA.
So, in case you have some concerns affecting the court, where do we go to? Meron ba silang counterpart sa
Ano po yan? Yes po, sa office, sa OCS, sa Office of the Court and OCA, no? Office of the Court Administrator po, OCA. OCA po yan. Although po yung mga frontline services po kahit po actually sa constitutional bodies, ang sinabi nga ho mismo ng civil service, saklaw pa din daw sila ng Anti-Red Tape Act for their frontline services, no? Yung kanila pong yung mga administrative and frontline services. So yan po pasok pa din po yan, ano. Pero dun ho sa mga court, it is with the office po ni Justice Midas Marquez. Yan po yan.
Thank you. Kasi isa yun sa dapat nalagyan ng ARTA.
Ma'am, actually, let me just say very quickly po, no? Tayo po ay also very blessed and fortunate because we have a very proactive Chief Justice and also court administrator. In fact, they did increase the jurisdictional amount of small claims cases to 400,000. Ibig sabihin po, kapag 400,000 ang pinagtatalunan na value ng property or value ng transaksyon, ay hindi mo na kailangan pumunta doon sa mahabang proseso ng korte. Hindi mo na rin kailangan ng abogado. Any private citizen can already file a pre-constructed form, no? With the small claims court sa mga munisipyo or sa mga city halls, dun po sa mga MTCs, and they would be resolving it within 30 days. Meron na pong resolution. So yan po ay napakagandang accomplishment po. Basta within 400,000. Amin nga hong hinihingi ngayon sa Kongreso na i-increase po yan ng 1 million kasi para 30 days na lang ay matatapos po agad ang mga kaso.
Yeah, that's right. That's a very, very important information indeed. Now, this is regarding colorum agents. They're just questioning that there's so many and alarming who engage in real estate transactions without the necessary licenses. Is there anything that you can recommend to this? The PRC and DSUD.
Ma'am, first po, Ma'am Tetsi, thank you po sa sinabi. I think si former Congressman Rod Valencia, ang aming dating gobernador po also from Mindoro, is here with us, the author of the RESA law, no? Author. Pero I think yung mga wala pong mga lisensya na mga brokers, ang akin pong unang request po sa private sector na sa atin po, no, dito. Wag ho tayong, let us not condone them. Una, wag ho tayong tanggilik ng mga serbisyo po na bawal. Lalo na yung mga fixers, wag niyo pong tangkilikin kasi hangga't na may pumapatol po sa kanila, nabubuhay po yung kanilang mga industriya. Sinasabi ko nga Ma'am Tetsi sa inyo lagi, kila Sir Toti, ARTA na lang po maging fixer po ninyo. Wala pa hong bayad, fixer po ng bayan. Give it to us and mas mapabilis. Meron kaming situation sa isa pong register of deeds, ganyan po nangyari. Sa buti na lang po, I think there was an allegation of hinihingan sila, no? But they gave us the case, lumabas po no, yung kanila pong document. So, first po yan, wag mo nating i-tolerate kasi ho baka ho tayo madamay kapag nagkaroon po ng investigation at nagkahulihan dyan. Second, also with the PRC, we already requested the PRC and even the SEC na tulungan po kami on this kasi ho yung mga nag-i-engage nga ng mga illegal fixers na it's either corporation or individual professionals, kinakailangan sila din po mismo ay hindi rin po sila would go scot-free because of that. Pero doon ho sa mga wala pong lisensya na sinasabi ho natin and who's engaging it actually is part of our enforcement function po yan. So we could actually say that they're actually fixers kasi hindi ho sila rehistrado pero sila po ay kumukuha ho ng pera para gawin po yan, mga bagay po na yan para po sa inyo, lalo na kung meron silang claim na kilala sila dun sa loob. So pwede ho namin kayong tulungan, titingnan ho natin ano po yung mga situation on a case-to-case basis. Pero I could see that pwede rin ho siya bumagsak doon sa fixers. Ayan po. Meron na ho tayo mga nakasuhan po on that also.
Okay, thank you. Next question comes from Ludovico Gomez Jr. Do you require all agencies to post their citizens charter and have they complied?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, even before ARTA, meron na po yung citizens charter na yan. Maybe you have gone to a government agency and you have seen a worn out tarpaulin hanging there, and then you see what is this worn out tarpaulin. If you look very closely and more intently, pakita mo, ito pala yung service standard CCT. That is a citizens charter because there are 3 kinds of citizens charters that is required by the law for government agency. First is the bulletin citizens charter that should be posted in a conspicuous place at the entrance of the offices. So citizens charter, it could be a tarpaulin or it could be kung meron sila dyan bulletin board na parang television, that scrolls up, scrolls down. So that is the first type. The second one, required din po na sa kanilang mga websites ay meron din po sila online. Thirdly, meron din po silang printed copy sa kanilang opisina ng citizens charter. So yan po ay required po yan. So there is a total of about 7,000 government agencies that already submitted to ARTA their revised citizens charter. Kaya ko po sinabi na revised kasi they did amend their previous citizens charter that is not compliant with the 3720. So I think we still have around 3,000 national government agencies and LGUs that needs to submit. Kasi yung kasama, kung bibilangin niyo po yung barangay tsaka Sangguniang Kabataan, that is about 42,000, mga 84,000 yan mga yan. Pero yung mga core agencies po talaga tsaka LGUs is about 10,000 po sila. So yes, they already have their own citizens charters po. So exercise niyo po yung rights niyo under the citizens charter.
Yes, thank you, DG. This is another comment. In all the register of deeds, they have a book called entry books. You sign up kung kailan ka nag-submit, tapos naka-register yun tuloy-tuloy. Maganda yung libro na yun kasi mahirap dayain dahil may continuity ng entry. Hindi ka mukha ng individual acceptance and claim stubs and all that. After a while, walang mahirap i-keep track dahil independent. So I suggest if all government agencies should implement the use of entry books para medyo mas madaling mag-monitor at maiwasan ang pandaraya ng entries kung kailan na-accept. No? Anyway, that's just an observation. The next question is coming from Dalmasio Comia. There is a home buyer which have already been issued notice of approval by Pag-ibig, but developers are not able to comply with requirements which it's not very clear because which remain pending in other agencies. Okay. So they have already submitted to Pag-ibig, but the other agencies haven't complied. So because of that, Pag-ibig cannot act on it. So that is the interagency consolidation and integration that you mentioned earlier.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Pati po yung mga siguro yung requirements of another agency to another agency, then it has to fall also within the 3720. So kung meron hong prior requirement from another agency, dapat ho yung ahensya that is, that should be providing that should also provide it within the 3720. Pero ang isa ho sa mga principles that we would also want to be implemented is that government agencies could already share data that is only pertinent for the transaction, so without divulging all of the details naman. Kasi total, those data naman belongs actually to the applicant eh. No, hindi naman talaga, it doesn't really belong to the government, pero it's your information.
Okay. I'd like to also acknowledge the presence of the following from our Negros Occidental chapter: Roy Villa, Stephen Hison from Baguio, Jane Cosalan and Rose Ann Tabora, and from Cebu, Marisa Inting. That's the beauty of Zoom. You can reach people from all over. We also have some in our Zoom meetings, even people from Australia, New Zealand, the US join us. So thanks for the Zoom. And I think that's about all the questions that we received. We'd like to give DG Jeremiah Belgica his last comments.
Marami pong salamat, Ma'am Tetsi, President Toti, to all of the CREBA family. Rest assured, ARTA is here to help, to assist po sa inyo, but also we are hoping, looking forward, Mr. President, for that stronger ties between ARTA and CREBA so that we could directly also respond to the needs of the industry through to CREBA. Deputy Director General Doy Bringas will be starting, of course, continually yung atin pong interagency streamlining together with our secretary, the very able Secretary Del Rosario. Again, gusto kong sabihin that the train against red tape is already on the move. No? Ang tren ng pagbabago laban sa red tape ay umuusad na po, at ang ating pong Pangulo ang siyang talaga pong nagtutulak na to. Mabagal man ang simula, bumibilis, ngayon po it's already moving, and we do believe that this is going to go faster and faster and faster until we reach our destination, and everyone who would stand in the way of this train of reform of the people will just simply be run over. Maraming pong salamat.
Yes, and I'd like to reiterate, you've said this before, DG, in our meetings with ARTA. You said that medyo mahirap pero magtatagumpay tayo. And we have seen also, I'm a witness to how hard you've been working on this. Thank you very much. And final comment from our National President, Toti Carino.
Thank you very much, Techi. In behalf of our Chairman, Charlie Goreb, all the National Board members, we have our Vice Chairman, Jerry. We have several board members of the board here, so it's welcome information that we can really proceed with this new initiative of drafting or crafting a closer cooperation with, and CREBA will be the champion in the industry of the ARTA initiatives. Maraming salamat, DG, and also I'd like to say thank you to Deputy DG Eduardo Bringas. Maraming salamat sa inyong dalawa. It's good that we have very young executives heading this agency because they can see the fire in your purpose. We're hoping also to be able to assist that and to make sure that industry will always be at the forefront of whatever is new initiatives being sought out. Maraming salamat sa lahat, and congratulations everybody for attending. Miss Joy Yumol, maraming salamat. Miss Connie Beltran, thank you very much. I think we have a lot of people here. Andy Manyalak, maraming salamat. Again, in behalf of Charlie, congratulations to all for a well-done forum this morning.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Totti. We'd also like to acknowledge the presence of our former Treasurer, Tess Milan, of course, our Vice Chairman, Jerry Navarrete, Congressman Rod Valencia. Thank you very much to everybody.
Techi, sandali.
Ah,
Please acknowledge also our very able Executive Director, Ms. Charmaine Albarazete.
oh yes,
Been very...
napakasipag at magaling. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We hope to see you again in the next industry updates of CREBA. Good day to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Mabuhay po ang CREBA. Salamat po.
Yeah, thank you, BJ. See you again. Yeah.
Diyan pa sila.
Alis na ako, no?